Good evening. Welcome to the Winter Sports Awards night. I want to thank you for attending tonight's awards night. I'm honored to be able to begin this evening by recognizing our scholar athletes. I take a lot of pride in recognizing the student athlete for academic achievements and for recognizing them for something off the field of play. As you all know here tonight, there are great demands placed on our student athletes, both during competition and during the school day. It's my pleasure to recognize this year's Winter Scholar athletes who have not only met the high requirements set by their coaches, but also excelled in the classroom. We will start with cheerleading. Please stand and be recognized as I read your name, and let's hold the applause until everyone for that sport is standing. So for the cheerleaders, Lauren Mitchell, all A's. Caitlin Bugno, all A's. Shelby Bankson, Alyssa Clevenger, Erica Inyart, Hannah Hunting, Emily Johnson, Michaela Stockberger, Elena Franklin, Brenna Gibson, and Shaylee Kelly. For girls basketball, Riley Holland, all A's. Eleni Schroff, all A's. Abby Malco, all A's. Brianne Pollock, all A's. Jenna Crispin, all A's. Lindsay Mitchell, all A's. Riley Pfeiffer, all A's. Lainey Smith, all A's. Griffin Goss, all A's. Hannah Sherbandi, all A's. Emily Shepard, all A's. Kaylee Smith, all A's. Carly Murphy. Kaylee Smith, you're there. I got into the all A thing and I just kept going, and so Carly Murphy, Bailey Abbott, Sarah Amick, Shaylee Kelly, Allie Hudkins, Emily Sager, Chastity Powell, and Skylar Cheeley. Is it Sheely? Sheely, I'm sorry. Girls swimming, Erica Abbott, all A's. Quinn Bixler, all A's. Sarah Birch, all A's. Tracy Birch, all A's. Emily King, all A's. Karsten Lingenfelter, all A's. Covenant Lingenfelter, all A's. Katie Newton, all A's. Allie Seiler, all A's. And Allison Webb, all A's. Shelby Bankson, Becky Dubé, Erica Inyart, Anna France, Aaron Johnson, Taylor Mars, Elise Rosano, Sammy Rupert, Taylor Shalley, Alex Williamson, and Katie Seiler. Boys swimming, Brad Birch, all A's. Patrick Kays, all A's. Stephen Newton, all A's. Mason Yoakum, all A's. Chris Hoffman, Logan Youngstrom, Matt Zion, and Tyler Youngstrom. Wrestling, Ben Horban, all A's. Bryce Roberts, all A's. Tyler Downhour, all A's. McKenna Morgan, all A's. Justin Schroeder, Cole Dowd, John Hunting, Jay Heckathorn, Braxton Lee, and Jordan Myers. Boys basketball, Aaron Stewart, all A's. Carter Screeton, all A's. Cyrus Holland, all A's. Gabe Brooks, all A's. Zach Shane, all A's. Seth Korn, all A's. Brant Etchison, all A's. Jacob Howdeshell, all A's. Alec Garrick, all A's. Jonathan Foon, all A's. Zach Du Bois, all A's. Michaela Bright, all A's. Aubrey Franklin, all A's. Landon Knotts, John Odell, Luke Kennedy, Tanner Hampton, Dylan Zellers, Andy Feldman, Noah Roberts, Dominic Thomas, Caleb Hunter, Noah Dahlquist, and Matt Basham for boys basketball. Next, we would like to recognize the Academic All-TRC Award winners. The Academic All-Conference team was a pilot program that started with the conference athletic directors in 2002. Is this thing still making a bunch of feedback? Okay. Starting this fall, the program had been modified to honor any athlete in the IHSAA sport who meets the following criteria. There's 2 levels to this award. There is the honorable mention certificate and the All-TRC academic medallion. To receive either one of these awards, you have to be a junior or a senior. To receive the honorable mention certificate, you have to have a 3.4 GPA on a 4-point scale and rank in the top 30% of your class. To receive the All-TRC academic medallion, you have to have a 3.8 GPA or higher and have a class rank in the top 15% of your class. This winter's academic all-conference honorable mention winners are, and please come up and get your award from your coach. For wrestling, Bryce Roberts. For girls swimming, we have 2 for the honorable mention, Anna France and Quinn Bixler. For boys basketball, we have Aaron Stewart and Seth Korn. Yes. Yes, Seth. For girls basketball, we have Lainey Smith and Riley Holland. This winter's academic all-conference first team medallion recipients, please come forward. We'll do these one at a time. Girls swimming, Alex Williamson. Taylor Shalley. And Caitlin Newton. Boys swimming, Brad Birch. Girls basketball, Jenna Crispin. Eleni Schroff. And Abby Malco. And for boys basketball, we have Zach Shane. And this is not really an academic award, but Coach received the New Father of the Year award this morning as a Zebra Award, so congratulations. I'd like to congratulate you athletes. You truly represent Rochester well. Thank you coaches and parents for the support and for helping your athletes excel, not only on the field of play, but also in the classroom. Enjoy your evening.
Oh, don't take the, what'd you do with the, there? No. All right, what'd you do with it? Oh, thank you. Good evening, I'm Athletic Director Mark Miller. First of all, I have a very important announcement to make if I do not make it. Those of you that know Mrs. Shalley, I'll never hear the end of it. So I do have an announcement here to make. It says the RHS yearbook staff shared a slideshow tonight of pictures of our winter sport athletes this evening. For this year's book is still on sale, although only until May the 1st. Forms are out on the back table for you to pick up as you leave or go to your individual awards presentations. Also, senior parents, you can purchase a personalized senior ad for your student if you would like. The prices have been cut from last year. Examples are hanging on the wall outside of the auditorium on the wall. Flyers are also on the back table. Mrs. Shalley and her staff, thank you for your support for this year's book, the 101st edition with the theme of It's Our Time. So your books, and see Mrs. Shalley in the back if you have any questions on that. Okay, we have a couple of special awards to give here. First off, if I can have Mr. Bryce Roberts to step up. We're honoring a couple individuals. Come on up, Bryce. Coach Gard is going to present Bryce. Bryce was a first-team academic all-state wrestling selection by the Indiana Wrestling Coaches Association. So congratulations to Bryce. And we have a second individual award that we would like to present if Ms. Quinn Bixler would return to the stage. Quinn made it to the state finals this year in the individual diving for Rochester High School, and that's the first time that that's happened in a lot of years. She had an outstanding year. She was a conference champ and a sectional champ. She's receiving her IHSA Participation Award. Also, Coach Brown has a picture of Quinn that will go up in the hallway over by the, you can let her take it with her, but she's got to give it back, so, okay. Congratulations to Quinn, outstanding job. I do have two comments real quickly. One is directed to Coach Metcalf. I noticed that you just got a Zebra of the Week award or something like that for being an outstanding father. I do want to tell you that a couple of my students came in 7th hour today and said, you know, I don't know what's wrong with Mr. Metcalf. And he said, you know, he's usually out in the hallway joking with us and everything. And I went into his room and he said, get out. I said, what? He said, get out. And so I looked at this young man and I said, someday when you have a newborn in your home, you will understand. So congratulations to, we actually had three babies born here at Rochester, Mr. Snyder and Coach Metcalf and our new football coach, Mr. Michael Zahner, all the proud fathers of baby girls. Yes, sir.
State 2030. We're going. We got the team.
I noticed you guys didn't do much for the football prospects. Okay, we will move forward here. We have a couple of, actually 3 trophies that we would like to present at this time. First of all, I'm going to ask that the members of these teams please stand up and be recognized. First of all, our boys swim team with the RHS Invitational Champions. I believe, what was this, the second year for it? Okay, and our first year to bring home a trophy, correct? Was that 2 in a row? Okay, 2 in a row. So, members of the boys swim team for the RHS Invitational, congratulations. And then our next group that we want to recognize, the members of our girls basketball team who brought home not only the Winning Edge Holiday Invitational Tournament trophy, which is right down here in the front, but also were crowned TRC champs. So, Lady Zebras, please stand and be recognized. At this time, we're going to move into the individual awards. All the sports programs at Rochester High School give captains awards, MVPs, most promising, most improved, and mental attitude. And we're going to give those starting out in the following order. We'll start with cheerleading, then girls basketball, girls and boys swimming, wrestling, and last but not least, the boys basketball. I'll read a short description of the awards, and then we'll have each individual coach come up and present their awards. Team captains, leadership is often the intangible that is missing on those teams that never seem to fulfill their potential. At the same time, it's very evident on those teams that rise to championship levels. Team captains must serve as leaders, as recruiters, as assistant coaches with the younger players, and as positive role models for all team members. Once again, we'll start out with cheerleading.
You guys are lucky you get new babies. I get an old man today because my husband turned 40 today. So. He dreaded me getting in front of that mic today. All right, my captains this year were really easy. I've got 3 really great seniors, so that's how I decided who was going to be our leaders this year. Hannah Hunting, Lauren Mitchell, and Michaela Stockberger. Usually your stars are in the other room. So. Okay. I'll give you your stars.
It was a great year, surrounded by great people, but by far I think my best coaching move was letting these 2 lead and just getting out of the way. And if I knew then what I knew now, I would have turned it over to them their freshman year and had a really enjoyable 4 years. Best captains I've ever had, Eleni Schroff and Abby Malco.
We had 2 girls captains this year, Taylor Shalley and Alex Williamson. And 4 boys captains, Brad Birch, Matt Zion, Darius Rude, and Cameron Bugno.
In my 16 years of coaching, which reminds you is half the time that Coach Miller's put in. When he first started coaching, I was 8 years old, but I didn't want to point that out, but I just thought maybe it was necessary that we all remembered the old people too. Yeah.
and he wasn't born yet.
In my 16 years, I've had a pleasure of really coaching some great kids, but I've never had two captains that led and did everything that I could possibly ask these two young men to do. They were great kids, and they'll be sorely missed. Bryce Roberts and Austin Sossman.
Okay, obviously, I'm a proud new father of a little girl this week, and, obviously, if I'm ever fortunate enough to have a son one day, I hope they're half the guys or half the kid that these two guys are. Our captains this year were Zach Shane and Aaron Stewart.
Next category awards are the most promising athletes. It's important that coaches continue to work hard and recruit the best possible athlete for his or her sport. It is especially gratifying when a coach gets a young man or a young lady in their freshman or sophomore year that show the talent, the potential, the determination, and the positive attitude to be a real champion in their high school career. Hopefully, the awards earned tonight as most promising will serve to encourage each of these athletes on to bigger and better seasons in their RHS athletic careers. Once again, we'll start with cheerleading.
This year, our most promising cheerleader award goes to one of our underclassmen on the varsity squad. This young lady is one of the one of the brightest personalities on the cheerleading squad. She was definitely a leader this year. Even though she was an underclassman, I know that she was felt and seen as a leader throughout the entire year. She helped choreograph dances. She was one of our strongest bases. She, all around excellent cheerleader. She was chosen as a UCA All-Star this year. Our most promising is Cynthia Hernandez.
Our most promising athlete almost didn't come out this year, and certainly glad she did. She made a big-time difference among the conference leaders in rebounds and field goal percentage, and she has 2 more years, hopefully, in our program. Looking forward to that. B. Pollock.
Our most promising girl this season is a freshman. She made it back to sectional finals in 2 individual events and was a part of 2 relays that also swam in sectional finals. She dropped over a minute of time total in her individual events throughout this season. Sammy Rupert. Our most promising boy this season is also a freshman. He was part of 2 relays that placed in top 5 at sectionals, and he placed 4th and 6th in his individual events at sectionals. He earned 15 individual first place finishes this season. Stephen Newton.
Wrestling's most promising this year go to 2 young men. One is a freshman, one is a sophomore. Both have had some experience wrestling, one in a program from Caston, the other obviously in our middle school program. But we really feel the future's bright with these two young men, Braxton Lee and John Hunting.
Okay, boys basketball most promising goes to a kid that from day one until the end of the season, maybe it didn't necessarily show up in the stat book, but played with so much more confidence than he did November 7th, and really excited to be able to work with him the next 2 years, and that will be Luke Kennedy.
Next category are those most improved athlete. One of the goals of every sports program is to continue to strive for improvement, whether that means fewer putts per round, more yards per carry, or even a better attitude and approach to any sport. Improvement is the key to many of the successes of our athletic programs.
This year, our most improved cheerleader is one of our first-year cheerleaders. She, at first in the year, I wasn't part of the coaching staff until the winter, but I remember watching her from the sidelines, and she has grown leaps and bounds from the beginning of football season when I first saw her at the football games until now. Being one of our go-to spotters, she is willing to try almost anything until she gets sat on accident. But our most improved this year is Mallory Benzing.
Most improved player in girls basketball came off the bench for us last year and not only became a starter this year, but was our third leading scorer and had an MVP performance in our holiday tourney with 37 points over 2 games. Most improved, Jenna Crispin.
Our most improved girl this year was her first year swimming. She started out the season practicing in lane 6 and worked her way all the way to lane 3 by the end of the season. She dropped over a total of a minute and a half in her events from the beginning to the end of the season. Sarah Birch. Our most improved boy, this was also his first year swimming. He also started out the season in lane 6 and worked his way to lane 3. He dropped over 40 seconds of time total in his events from the beginning to the end of the season. He started out the season swimming the 100 free in 1:13, and by the end of the season is less than a second from breaking 1 minute. Mason Yoakum.
Again, this year we have 2 most improved. One goes to a sophomore who kind of struggled at the beginning of the year, and then by the end of the year was able to come and place 3rd in our sectional and be one of our regional qualifiers. Second one goes to a senior who last year as a junior really struggled. He had to wrestle up a weight class at 189 pounds, only weighing about 171 pounds. This year he ends up with a winning record, 25-13, I believe is what he ended up. After having a losing record last year, and ends up our only conference champion. Austin Sossman, and Tyler Downhour.
Okay, most improved for boys basketball goes to a senior who took a couple years off and then decided to play this year as a senior. And you know, I think if anyone was at the sectional game a couple weeks ago, had one of their better players at Hebron was a little confused at the end of the game on how to guard him because he just kept taking another step back and hitting one deep three after another like he did all year. And a kid I'm really proud of and really came a long way and was a leader in this team, Aaron Stewart.
Next awards are those of the Mental Attitude Award. The coach's favorite person may be a unique way to describe this award, but in many ways it's true. The question you need to ask yourself is, why is that player the coach's favorite? The answer will be because he or she always is a leader in off-season conditioning and weights, always listens and tries to do what is right, always hustles during all practices as well as in contests, always tries to provide leadership and be a positive example for the underclassmen in the program. Talent and potential are not qualities needed for the Mental Attitude Award winner. A never say die attitude coupled with a positive outlook on life are the qualities of this individual.
I had a really talented and special group of juniors and seniors, and any one of them could have gotten this award easily by the description that was just read. So when I took a look at my girls individually and tried to think who really should get this, it was an individual that isn't just about this when you're around or when you're in practice or during cheerleading. It's all of her life. I mean, she's just got the sweetest heart. And she's one of those, as a coach, when you're out in the community and you're with somebody and you talk to them and the person you're with says, "Who is that?" And you say, "That's one of my girls." And you're so proud of the person they are, not just what they do on the court. And so this year's award is going to go to Caitlin Bugno.
Just something before we give this award. For girls and boys basketball, the Mental Attitude Award is a little bit different. It's named after Nick Patterson, Rochester graduate, who gave his life overseas. And I know Coach Malco and myself, I still do give this award in high regard because we had so much respect for that young man. And for girls basketball, this is kind of like a lifetime achievement award for me. Somebody who never got headlines, was never our leading scorer, will not appear on any of the all-TRC teams, but for 4 years showed up to the things that we had a tremendous attitude, and is somebody that I think a lot of younger players can look up to for her persistence and character and attitude, Lainey Smith.
Our Mental Attitude Award winner this year for the girls team is a senior and also a captain. She's been an excellent leader and has had a positive attitude for all 3 years that I've been coaching the team. She always did an excellent job keeping her lane motivated during practice. One of my favorite memories with her is spending a ton of time teaching her to do flip turns. And then at the next swim meet, she didn't do them. And then at the next practice, she did about 100 of them until she did them right, but she did not complain. Taylor Shalley. Our Mental Attitude Award winner for the boys team this year is a junior and a captain. He is someone that I can say I know worked his hardest every single day at practice. He has a great attitude and is always leading by example. He is always someone that I can count on to do exactly what we ask to the best of his ability without complaining. One of our favorite memories as a coaching staff, I know, is when we do dryland workouts and he has the entire team doing wall sits for about 5 minutes. Brad Birch.
The mental attitude for wrestling this year goes to a fine young man. He's a freshman. Really enjoyed having him. I had the very fortunate to be able to coach a lot of great kids this year. But this young guy, I was pretty hard on him at times as a freshman, and he kept his chin up, even though it was tough sometimes to deal with me. Kept coming back for more, and by the end of the year, really, really improved. Kept a great attitude. Justin Schroeder.
Our Mental Attitude Award winner, honestly, I wish I could give 6 of these out. This was probably the toughest one we had to decide on. But this goes to a sophomore who was thrown into a role that was difficult for him. Just like Coach Gard said, it was tough on him a lot of days, and he, I'm sure, was frustrated, but came back the next day and continued to work hard and progressed a ton from the beginning of the year, and that is Carter Screeton.
Last category awards is that of the most valuable athletes. The person who means the most to the team. The most valuable athlete is not necessarily the most talented, but it is the player that contributes the most to the program. The most valuable athlete must provide leadership, exhibit outstanding skill in the sport. I believe that one way to determine who the most valuable athlete is, simply ask yourself the question, where would this team have been without this individual?
This young lady can really, you look at all these awards and she's there in every category. As far as promising, she's got a great promising future ahead of her, even though she's graduating, because of her great work ethic. She improves every year I've had her. I've had her 3 years now. From beginning to end, she gives you 110%, and that's not just in cheerleading, it's in school, it's in all the other athletic events that she does, and she is always there 110% of the time. Her commitment is incredible. She also has a great attitude. She's a great leader. A lot of the other girls have looked up to her, even though she wasn't a senior all 3 years. She still had that leadership ability, and even last year seniors could look to her for some help and guidance and leadership skills. So this year's MVP is Lauren Mitchell.
Probably not a big surprise for this one. Repeat winners for us, as they both won last year. And Mr. Miller asked the question, where would we be without them? And that's an interesting question. I'm glad I never had to find that out. They gave up a little bit of their statistics this year as younger players and other players got more and more confidence and more involved in what we're doing. But they still, one of the two of them still led us in every major category. And most of those categories, they were 1-2. Eleni Schroff and Abby Malco.
This year we have two most valuable girls on the team. Our first one earned 17 individual first places in dual meets this year. She was the only swimmer to finish in the top 8 at sectionals this year. She was also a part of 2 relays that finished at top 8 at sectionals. Allison Webb. Our other most valuable girl earned 9 individual first places in dual meets this year. She finished 1st at sectionals, 5th at regionals, and 26th at state. She finished 5th at the Western Diving Invite and 2nd at the Wawasee Invitational. She also broke the 11 dive school record at our sectional meet this year. Quinn Bixler. Our most valuable boy earned 16 individual first places in dual meets this year. He was part of 2 relays at sectional, one of which finished 3rd and the other finished 4th. He finished 2nd in both of his individual events at sectionals. Patrick Kays.
Our MVP goes this year to a young man, another freshman, semi-state qualifier, the only one on our team this year. Led our statistical categories, was in the top 1, 2, or 3 in almost every category that we had. Was a runner-up at our regional, 3rd place in our TRC, 3rd place in our sectional. As I said earlier with Bryson Sauce, 2 great leaders off the mat and everything I asked for. But I couldn't ask for a better leader on the mat, Jay Heckathorn.
Our MVP goes to a kid who led us in scoring. He also was 2nd in rebounding, a kid that when he played well, we were a different team and gave us a chance to win every night out. That's John Odell.
This time I've got some thank yous and a few closing comments before we break into the second part of our awards program. I do have some thank yous that I need to make. First of all, I do want to thank members of the Rochester Athletic Boosters Club. I'm sure some of you in here are members. Is Barb Geringer in the audience by any chance? Barb, if you'll walk up here, I have a, just to show you that this really does work this way. I know some people that are members of the Boosters Club don't understand that it works this way, but I do have a check for Barb for $300 because she was just drawn out of the hopper earlier tonight. So if her son's standing up, yeah. So if you want to know anything about the Athletic Boosters Club, and how to become a member, if you're not a member, you can see Barb tonight and she'll fill you in on everything, or you can call my office and talk to myself or Mrs. Cash. So congratulations. Unfortunately, Austin, she didn't win the 1,000. That one's right here in my hand, and that person's not here tonight. Sorry. Very, very quickly, other thank yous. I want to thank the parents for all your support. I know from experience as a longtime coach, I know from experience as a father of 2 athletes that went through Rochester High School, being a father is a lot tougher than being a coach in a lot of ways. You never know how you're going to be called upon, and the role, sometimes you got to pick them up. Sometimes you have to step on their head and get a little bit smaller from time to time. But to all of you parents, thank you very, very much for your support, not only of your sons, your daughters, but also of Rochester Community High School. Christina, are you here? Most of you people know Christina Hughes, our athletic trainer. I want to thank Christina. This has obviously been a very tough winter sports season for her, but it's been a year in which we, I think, and I will just speak for myself during football season, didn't realize how much we depended upon Christina as coaches and as athletes. And please give Christina a round of applause. I would like to thank the Rochester media, specifically the Rochester Sentinel and WROI. I've said it a number of times. One of the things that makes Rochester a little bit special from the standpoint of being a coach and leading a team is that you do have local media which follow you. And you know, if you've never lived in a big area where one newspaper follows 25 high schools, you would appreciate, you would grow to appreciate the Rochester Sentinel and WROI for everything that they do for our athletes. I want to thank our cheerleaders and Christy Albright, and she also had a couple of assistants, Katie Martens and Maddie Benzing. And unfortunately, I will tell you that Christy has turned her resignation in. I don't think that's gone to the board yet. Maybe it has, but she has done a tremendous job with our cheerleaders, and please give Christy a big round of applause. I need to thank a group of individuals, the wrestling moms in particular, for all the help. This year, we hosted the TRC, we hosted our Super 8, we hosted the John McKee Invitational, which was 16 teams, and then to top it all off, we hosted the regional, the IHSA regional, and finalized it last weekend with a huge invitational, an RMS invitational. And actually, I would tell Coach Guard that the best thing these guys did all year was learn how to get the mats out and put them down and get them taped up real quickly. But thanks, Austin. I think you guys got a little bit tired of that, but I do want to thank all the wrestlers and particularly the wrestler moms. You guys don't know Coach Bart Curtis from Mishawaka, but he's the great big official that was here for the TRC and then later, and he officially voted our hospitality room as #1 in the state of Indiana. So thank you to the wrestling moms. Also, along with that, our two wrestling managers, McKenna Morgan and Jordan Myers. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention Coach Chad Morgan for all the organization, all the help he does with all of those tournaments that we host. So thank you very much. Unless you've lived in a season in their shoes, I don't think you realize how much time, how much effort, and the kind of intense workouts or things that we get out of our coaches here at Rochester High School. We have a very special group of coaches, I believe, at Rochester High School. I think they have the best interest of the kids in mind, and I want to recognize each of those coaches very quickly here, starting out with boys basketball, our new head coach, Jim Metcalf, his assistants, Mike Kay, Chris Holm, Brian Albright, and Justin Lunsford. Our girls basketball coach, Coach Stasiak, I do have one thing. You had 11 girls who had nothing but A's on their report cards. What in the world could you teach them? I think that might be a record, although I will tell you that we had 10 young ladies on the girls' swim team that also had straight A's. So that's it's a great group of young ladies that we have in both of those programs. But Coach Stasiak and his staff, Randy Wynn, Joe Lau, and Bethany Sewell, volunteer assistant, please stand and be recognized. Our head wrestling coach, Mr. Clint Guard, his assistants, Derek Holloway, J.D. Howard, and as I mentioned earlier, our most important volunteer, Chad Morgan. Please give them a big round of applause. Our swim staff, head coach Stephanie Brown, who has really changed the culture around boys and girls swimming here in the last 3 years, and she's done a great job with it. Our turnout's better, our kids are more competitive, and she's just done a very, very good job. Her assistant coaches, Carmen Reeves, I would just say one thing about Carmen. She's our diving coach, and she does a tremendous job with our divers. We had not only Quinn go to the state, but I believe we had 2 boys qualify for the regional. Carmen sends her apologies. She's on her way to North Carolina, then she's getting on a boat in North Carolina and going to the Bahamas. So she sends greetings from the Bahamas to everybody here tonight. Although at 77 degrees, it's not too bad. Other assistants, Linda Williamson, Jared Tyler, and Coach Brown, the swim coaches, please. I would like to say a quick thank you to my boss, Mr. Jason Snyder, the principal at Rochester High School, also his assistant, Sean Rose, and also our superintendent, Mr. Dan Ronk. Last but not least, to all of you athletes, for your dedication and hard work. Congratulations on an outstanding season. Those of you guys that are seniors, I know you'll be successful at the college level because you've learned how to work hard, you've learned how to set goals, and you learn how to work towards those goals. Just remember one thing, it is a journey. It's not where you are, it's where you're going. Remember, if you didn't reach your goals, there are always new goals to be set and met. Set your goals high and never be afraid to fail. I will tell you one thing, somewhere along the line, some coach will either give an award out incorrectly, or Mrs. Cash or I will have put one in the box that was not correct. If you have a question on your awards, please stop by tomorrow morning, see Mrs. Cash or myself in the athletic office. And at this time, I will need to remind everybody that those of you that are captains or trophy winners, if you will, Mike Kinney from the Sentinel will be here at about 7:45, so we'd like for each sports group to get a picture taken at that time. And at the request of basketball mother Lori Shane, we're going to switch things up a little bit. The girls basketball team and parents are going to stay in the auditorium tonight. The boys basketball team and parents are going to move across to the cafeteria. Swim team and parents to the library. Excuse me, that's not correct. Swim team and parents are in the main gym. The wrestling team is in the library. Cheerleaders and parents to the auxiliary gym. Thank you very, very much for your attendance.